Hey, how's it going, folks? This is Matter Geist, and this is a short video I'm gonna make for the channel. I'm gonna make this my channel update video. I haven't made a video in the last, I'm gonna think 5 months, if I remember correctly. And I just want to have this video on here just to let you guys know that I'm still making content as always. So, a few things to say. My next video is going to be on, or I would say it like this. I'm working on 2 videos right now. My next video from that series is going to be on Derrida and the internet. I'm gonna leave it at that. I think people are gonna like it. I'm taking a lot from my video on Zuma and metaphysics. He will play a significant part in the video. I don't know if my audience knows this, or you know anyone who I don't know, because like the thing is with Zuma, the strangest thing about him to me, he's not as popular as he should. To me, Azuma is like the 21st century modern Heidegger. His database theory is essentially, to me, what Heidegger says in Being in Time when he describes Dasein, being there. I feel like the database is a 21st century digital being there. And I'm still working this theory out in my mind, but I feel like, because the problem with the internet, and I guess the problem with who he says cosmotechnus, he uses the term cosmo, the prefix, because it denotes like this, or affirms like this ideal that society in the 21st century is like global. It's global. It's connected to technology, AI, the internet, so on and so forth. So yeah, like taking from that cosmotechnic perspective, I think nature and history and technology, I do believe Kovayev was right, and Alexander Kovayev talked about in one of my earlier videos. Funny enough, it was also a channel update. Kovayev was right about the end of history. I remember and I believe I talk about this in that video. Kovayev talks about, Japanese history, China, or at his time, modern China, and the Soviet Union, and how essentially they've reached this in a history status in the vein of Frederick Hegel. And he was describing this type of society in where the Hegelian, ideal of sublation, meaning negation, subject negates something within life and experience. Simple metaphor here. Man eats apple, right? That no longer exists. And or let me elaborate on that a little bit more. Man eats apple for energy, therefore to produce works, labor, so on and so forth. There's a teleos, there's a means to an end. But in post-war society of these 3 aforementioned societies, there's no sublation. Like the Soviets, for example, they were working. They worked for the state. They didn't really produce anything out of their own, or their labor didn't really produce anything of merit. Like they weren't making things for like a private business, and the private business wasn't like expanding and so on and so forth. More on that later. The state was essentially a nest egg for the worker. It was a weird like Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden scenario in like a 21st century industrialized apocalypse, how the way I see it. Then you have the Soviet in the same way, or not, sorry, Soviet, the Chinese in a similar way, but a little bit behind the Soviets because they were still trying to industrialize in the 50s and 60s. Then you have Japan, which with the nuclear and the bombs, and we were essentially the Soviet state because we recoded their flows, we rewrote the Constitution, we were like the biggest market for them when it came to consumer goods for a while. We were their military. They have a military, but like their foreign policy is essentially our foreign policy. And because of that, because they stopped doing things like the Japanese Empire, they were fighting for glory, expansion, these nationalistic ideals. They weren't doing that anymore. All they have left is like this consumer society that's funded by U.S. imperialism. So, Kovia says that is what the end of history looks like. It's this commodified society is a mass consumer society, and through that you have communism. And I remember thinking about Communist Manifesto. I'm not a Marxist, by the way. I'm politically agnostic, I'll say it like that. But yeah, the Communist Manifesto, I remember reading. I read all that stuff early on because I just wanted to see. I wanted to see other perspectives, But in the Communist Manifesto, it talks about how capitalism leads to communism, because capitalism has this liquefying nature where it deconstructs every institution in society for capital accumulation. And yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, that really that follows through. But yeah, with that being said, there's a problem here because even like Koviet argues that, this society is completely artificial. How do you marry this with nature, so on and so forth? I've been in my mind working that ideal out of my head and trying to make sense of Dasein in the 21st century because human culture, human history is not, it's not really history as it was in the past. Like I think of Spengler and how he talks about, history is like a organic cycle and there's like a lifespan. I don't think we're doing that anymore. I think history and human culture is asynchronic and is based off of modes, stages of not in a really materialist Marxist way, but like these stages arrive to this conclusion, which is Bukolia said this mass consumer society. And I think that's just asynchronous, that is ever flowing continuously in the present. And what we understand as human history now is like an archive, and that's where, I don't want to spoil the whole video here, but that's where Derrida comes in, where I, go back and read, because I went back recently and I've been reading some Derrida, because some other stuff I've been reading gave me like a new insight on his work. But like, the archive, or better yet, difference, how in that concept, these concepts or concepts in language are constantly antagonistic because, one is always in the other, absence and absence and presence. So I thought that as the internet and the database and this center and where, time is always being relayed back to the present, is always going from the present to the past, the present to the past instantaneously. And history or the perception of time is more spatial than it is linear. And it's modular, based off of like emotional states and people's own personal, I guess I'll use aesthetic, their own aesthetics. I feel like through that, we have history because they're all acting asynchronically, affected by the same stimuli and, expressing what that stimuli means to them. They're essentially creating history in real time while being informed by history. And it's like an infinite process, like I said, asynchronic, you know, database. So I feel like through that, you know, through the internet, through the database, through what Yuhuku calls cosmotechnics, we've created a new relation of man and being, which is based off of these atemporal correspondences that are mediated through digital technology, such as the internet. So yeah, that's what I was working on, and I'm gonna do a video on that. It's kind of gonna be like a history lesson. I'm gonna do like the stages of the internet, because I was rereading Azuma as well, and in that database or animalizing otaku, he says like he describes the internet in like a semiotic way or like a media theory way, and he talks about how like, you know, the internet back. Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, the internet he was describing was like a completely different internet. The interface was different than the internet now. It was more like a digital archive that was storing, like, you know, like literature from like the past. At the time, it would be the 20th century, and rarely it was newer thoughts. There were, you know, but it was not as profunded as it is now. It wasn't as interactive. Because I remember when I was younger, you know, like HTML blog stuff, you know, that was like very, very like complex stuff. I thought if you were like really into computers, like if you knew about computers, you were like really smart or something, you know? So like, yeah, he was describing like a different internet, man. And I wanted to talk more about that. So yeah, so that's the Derrida. And my second video is going to be this video I've been talking about for years. It's going to be what is it? The Kovia video on the history of Japanese culture or modern Japanese culture. I wrote an essay on it on my Substack. I think I'm gonna put a link, or a link is on my channel blog, and I'll probably put a link in this description. And yeah, that was that, like I said, that's in the work. And that one I originally had. I mean, there's a lot of personal stuff that's going on in my life. I'm not gonna get too much into. But I'll say, like, I had to buy another computer. And originally, the first draft of that video was on that original computer. I did it on a program. I did it on Microsoft Clipchamp. And I thought, because Microsoft Clipchamp has this service, they have a cloud service. I thought, like, you know, the video was going to sync into the cloud, but it never did. Because when I went... No, it did. No. That's not the problem. What happened was because I don't have the external hard drive that has all the source files anymore. I have the video on Clipchamp. I just don't have the source files anymore. So I had to redo it. But it was cool. Like, I don't know what... I'm assuming y'all do, because I do get comments on the aesthetics of the videos. Yeah, it was really like an evolution of what I was doing. Because I'm an artist. Like, I like visuals. I like aesthetics. And I'm also like a historian, a scholar. But I'm really like a scholar of culture. Like, I'm really into like culture and how culture like influences like our perceptions and reality, you know, stuff like that. So I'm always into like trying to do anything that's like me, like expressing myself, you know. So like the aesthetics were really good in that one. Like, I really did. Like, my introduction was like, it was like a revamp of I don't know my audience that well yet, but I think if you've seen my videos, I'm really into anime, classic anime, 80s, 90s anime. And there's this anime, when I was younger, I was like a kid. It was called Cat's Eye. I really liked. There was another anime by the same guy, I forgot the dude, or manga by the same guy, I forgot his name. He did City Hunter. There was a movie for it back in like the 80s. No, the 90s. It starred Jackie Chan. I watched that movie when I was a teenager. Big favorite of mine back then. But like yeah, it was like the introduction to that, right? But like I did it my version of it. It was pretty based. But unfortunately that is lost to time. And I had like my content slides, I usually make content slides. That's like the earliest opening of my progress or my process here a little bit. The first things I produce when I make a video is like the content slides. You know, um, the content slides were really cool. They were like Heidegger, and that Blue Velvet video I did that, but I did it with Heidegger, and like I had like I messed with the frames a little bit. Then like the ending was going to be Dirty Pair. Oh, dude, I love Dirty Pair. Dirty Pair was like one of my favorite animes as a kid. Like I remember when I was really young. I mean, when I was young, there was like a lot of anime that I was watching that I should have been watching. Dirty Pair was one of them. I remember Dirty Pair was promoted on Showtime, and that was like the naughty channel. You know, you had to pay for it, and it was promoted that way because I think in Dirty Pair, the girls get naked. Like they show a little cleavage every now and then. It's tongue in cheek. It's like it's to me it's innocent. I mean, I guess it's innocent to me because compared to what you have now and what came after that, but it's never meant to be taken serious. But I was really into that. I was into like Go Nagi, or I'm sorry, not Go Nagi, Nagi Go, Lupin the Third, Monkey Punch, like raunchy anime. I'm really into also. Now this is just me talking about my favorite anime. Um, I'm really into like you know. I can't say her name to save the life of me. But the Rama One Half lady, I love her so much. Like when I was younger, I didn't really like Rama One Half as much. But now I love it. I love it. I love Rama, and it's ironic because it reminds me so much of like childhood, like growing up. Like being a kid in the '90s. And just watching they would have these Dragon Ball Z VHS tapes, and on every VHS tape they would have like a promotion of Funimation shitty Rama dub. I remember that. But yeah, so like it was going to be Dirty Pair. Then I had Sonic Boom. I never met Sonic Boom from Spaceman 3, but I met Jay Spaceman. That was one of the most surreal experiences in my life. Like I meet this guy. He likes me. He's like, dude, you have a cool ass name. You're cool. I'm not, dude. I swear, by my right hand, like I'm not making this shit up. I even have, because I originally asked him, and I'll make this quick because this is not what the video's about. But I originally asked him for a photo because like this dude came out swagged up. Like I thought his fit was so fresh. Oh yeah, I'm really into fashion, and when I was really into fashion when I was a kid, really into fashion. But like, I always thought Jay Spaceman had like a nice style, and I asked him where he got his shirt because he had like a leopard print shirt, I think, and he was wearing denim. I might be misremembering the shirt. Yes, it was. It was like a purple. It was like a deep purple in leopard print. And I was like, dude, like, we get shit. This dude's looking at me weird. Like, why does this dude ask me about my shirt? Like, that's weird. Then I just started crying because, like, I was going through it, some personal stuff, and one of his songs really got to me. It was called I might be butchering the name of the song because it's from his later albums. I haven't really listened to his later stuff. I'm really into his early stuff, like with Spaceman 3 and early Spiritualized. And I told him, like, dude, like, I was just like, dude, that song is really good, you know? Then I talked about, like, because I'm a guitarist too. I put some of my music on here. One of my first songs I learned on guitar was, like, Walking with Jesus. Like, your music has saved my life, dude. And he's like, dude, don't ever say that. Like, and he hugged me, and I started crying. And he gives me a poster. But yeah, like, anyways, Sonic Boom. Sorry for that tangent there. Sonic Boom, he did like a band, or he had a band in the early 90s. I think what happened was him and Jay Spaceman had a falling out with Spaceman 3, and they decided to do their own thing. And Sonic Boom was in more projects than Jay Spaceman in the 90s, and one of them was Spectrum, which originally was it was like a band. It was a band. It was some dudes. I don't remember where the dudes came from, but there were some dudes, and then I think that fell through, and he released one album, which was no, he released most albums, but he released one album with the band, and I think it was called honestly, the album is terrible as shit. Like, Sonic Boom, I liked him on Spaceman 3, but I feel like he's good as, like, I feel like he's good in a band with somebody. I don't think he's good by himself because, like, his whole thing is that tremolo effect, which is cool. I really like that effect. I like it in my music. Honestly, when I was really young, I really wanted to emulate that style. That got me into playing, like, guitar-based music, or interested in guitar-based music. But I feel like it's an effect that you have to use sparingly in music. And, like, all his songs on that album was like that effect. And it was, like, over-affected. Like, he put that shit in the vocals, bro. It was so ridiculous. But the first song off that album I liked a lot. I always liked a lot growing up. I always liked that song. So I picked that song as an ending, and it was this cool effect. Because, like, the song starts like a reverb, like a weird warpy reverberation, or the tremolo effect is like really warpy. It's like and you hear this organ, din 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 din, and from that I had, like, the every video I do like the works cited page or whatever, that pulled out from the center of the video to the front, like a 3D effect. And I had the Dirty Pair, the girl with the blue hair, I forgot her name, but she was in the background because I think she's like the prettiest girl. I had her as, like, the background, and some other old effect that I had on my Tumblr page layered on top of it. But yeah, it was scrapped, unfortunately, and I had to like, work from scratch. So right now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do, but I have the screenplay. I just have to rewrite the video. So yeah, those are the two videos, and I guess what else? I want to say thank you for the people who've subscribed and followed me over the years. I appreciate the support because this is a this is an outlet for me. You know, like I live in an area in America where it's not even just America or like where I live. I think it's just like the era we're in. Like I feel like people are not really interested in like opinions anymore. It's like people are interested in like slogans and like being told something that they want to believe. And because of that, content suffers. I remember years ago, you'll go on YouTube, you can find like people like Stefan Molyneux. And I don't really like agree with Stefan's politics per se, but I did like him because he was a different like opinion on the internet. You know, he had a different perspective on stuff that you can think about and you can challenge, you know, because like I said, I didn't agree with everything Stefan Molyneux said or like other people, you know, more extreme people. Hell, even people on the left, you know, like the left has really suffered from this. Like I remember ContraPoints first came out, bro, when when she I ain't trying to get banned on here. When she was transitioning, I remember that whole process. And Blair Wright, that was like the one thing that her and Blair White got along on was like the fact that they were both transgendered and they were dealing with like all the black backlash of being like transgendered in the politics. So, you know, that was interesting because like I remember watching that. I was honestly like I was sympathetic towards ContraPoints. I always like ContraPoints. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that because I don't really know the politics of my audience, but I really like ContraPoints. ContraPoints was very charismatic when before she transitioned. Very attractive guy, very attractive woman. I'm going to say that. Very attractive. I think what made him attractive was the fact that I'm talking about before controversial transition. He has a very youthful face, you know, very youthful Dionysian face. But yeah, I empathize with him, and I can tell he was a very smart guy, a very smart woman now, very smart person, very smart person. There you go, very smart person, and I really like that. I like that because that's what I wanted. I always wanted like people just getting along or people from different walks of life coming together to discuss the issues and coming to like a mutual understanding of things. Like, okay, we know that this is the truth of X. Because this is the truth of X, do we necessarily, or how are we going to move forward? You know what I'm saying? That's what I think of American civic life as. It's like people from all walks of life getting together and trying to, you know, deliberate on how to move forward. You know, you look at any period of American history, it is that perennial, you know, theme. It's like, how do we move forward? How do we move forward from slavery? How do we move forward from like you know, monarchy from a revolutionary state to like a more you know, like, I don't know, legislative state. So like, yeah, I do feel like that's like a theme of American society. So, yeah, I miss that era, and you had like the best content, you know, during that era. Now it's just like everything's the same. Even like YouTube, because I was also into like YouTube video essays. Like I remember back then you had different people like Channel Chriswell, Every Frame of Painting. I remember when he came on the scene, that was like a game changer. They were all doing their own thing, but now it's just like they're literally all ripping off of Chriswell. channel Chriswell, and it's like, dog, okay, this is redundant. And they don't have good taste. Like, these channels have no. I am and I say this half jokingly, I'm a kino man. Like, I mean, I've always been into films. Like, ever since I was a kid, I've watched everything, dude. Like, we didn't really get along, my family, we didn't really get along on a lot of stuff growing up. But one thing we did was, like, we watched a lot of movies. So, yeah, I think my taste is good. Like, I don't know. You guys tell me in my comments. Um, I'll link my Letterboxd or something. I don't know. But yeah, like, I really like film, and I like film a lot as a visual medium, and like the aesthetics of film, and yeah, a lot of these dudes don't really have good taste. A lot of these dudes are just like, they seem like they went to film school. I didn't go to film school. That's another thing. I'm a steal the quote from Tarantino. I went to film, or more literally or specifically, I went to the library when I was young. I would just go to the library, rent movies, like old, like Janus films and like Criterion films and foreign films, and just watch them. And I'll rent out books. Like, I'll rent books on like film history and film theory, and just read them, because at the time, I just kind of figured that I'll never get into film school, because I just never had the grades or the money, you know. I did apply to one time, and like I said, I got rejected because I didn't have the grades for it. So like I said, I just read a lot, watched a lot of movies on my free time. And from there, I created a aesthetic, like a visual eye. Um, I love films that are very psychological and surreal, like a dark surrealism, kind of like French surrealism from the 20s. But I also like, I know, you know what, I would say, I think overall my favorite kind of film aesthetic is whimsical, you know, like a whimsical surrealism that is psychological and existential. Like, I think the film that embodies this, and used to be my avatar on my page for a while, Funeral Party of the Roses, is surreal, it's existential, because you have the character who is dealing with their identity. Who am I? You know, literally, what am I? Am I real? Am I fake? Is the events that led to my life now, is it something that I made up? Or is it like the true reality? You know? Then you have like scenes where they're like pissing in the bathroom, and they're like, you know, doing like these shogun stances, and they're like, you know, shooting each other with fake pistols. I like stuff like that. You know, those are the kind of, in general, in art, I think that's like my aesthetic. Like when I was a teenager, I was really into Sid Barrett, you know, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, stuff like that. So, yeah, like, yeah, but the thing is, like, there's nobody like on YouTube that has that type of personal aesthetic like that. Like, that's how you get the good stuff, you know. Everybody's favorite film is Kurosawa Akira, or films from this guy, or like Cindy Lumet, you know, because he knows how to write a great screenplay or something. And it's like, no, film is all about the vibe, bro. The screenplay is great because it embodies a vibe. It's not like, oh, it's perfectly plotted, and, you know, the writer met all the check marks, or he checked all the check marks in a good screenplay. No, it's still a work of art. It still has to go off a vibe. You know, Shakespeare, he had a vibe. You know, Austen, I don't like her, but she had a vibe. You know, like all the ghosts have a vibe. all great works of art have a vibe, a feeling, you know, that you see it, you're like, you're engulfed by it. And these little film school nerds don't really understand that. I'm trying to make this, okay, so I don't want to make this really long, but whatever. We'll stop. I'll stop this video. And, well, I guess what I'll do is, like, I'll just, like, list this video as, like, multiple things. Like, trying to update, blah, blah, blah. But, anyways, like I was saying, like, you know, it's a certain vibe that is lost with, like, looking at film like that. The plot doesn't really matter. Film is not a science. Film is art. It's pure art, you know. David Lynch is good because he has a vibe, not because his plots make sense. His plots don't make sense. His stories hardly ever make sense. Like, the dude resolves, he doesn't resolve a lot of stuff in his stories, and he leaves it open ending. He leaves it open ended, and like, there's a beauty to that. But like, the modern YouTube film critic doesn't understand that. They'll try to. The movies today are not even made on that level. Like, I was watching, what's that film called with that golf guy? He's like a golf filmmaker. But not like, you know, because some people would describe me as golf. Like, maybe that's me being snobby golf guy, whatever. I don't know. But like, he's like a metal guy. Like, he's like, it looks like he's into metal or something. But, well, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. Nosferatu. Like, that film is like it's not like good. It's like a porn film for chicks. Like, the Nosferatu, the vampire is like fucking Johnny Depp's daughter. And it's like, okay, what's the meshes here? Where's the vibe? Fuck the meshes. What's the vibe? You know, there's no vibe to this. It feels like a porno. You know, like, that's not a vibe. That's like, if I'm into the girl, like, I would be into it, but I don't find her attractive, and I don't think she's a good actress. So a lot of films, they don't have that. Like Scorsese, like, bless his heart, I want him to keep on making films until he you know, passes over, because like, he still has those vibes. He still knows how to make a good film. But yeah, there's really no one out there anymore that does that. So all you have left is just like, or the culture critiquers reflect that, you know. So yeah, I try to make content that's engaging, interesting, either through like audio, in visual, or in both. I just try to, like, you know, do what YouTube was originally here, or was created to do, or which is to express myself. And I hope that my work influences other people to do the same. So with that being said, thank you. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.